Hi everyone, welcome back to day 2 of 9th grade ELA. I will be walking you through our pre-work for lesson 2. Today's objective in proving behavior is, students will be able to analyze character motivation in the fiction short story Button Button and embed evidence into responses by identifying the main character's thoughts, feelings, and actions, and questioning why they think, feel, and act that way. Pause the video right now, and in the Google form, I want you to recap what happened in part 1. Then come back and we will start part 2 together. Great, you're back. Let's start reading. We're going to be reading the second part together, and as we read, I want you to pay attention to 1. The clues that I find to identify the thoughts, feelings, and actions of the characters, and 2. The questions I ask myself about why the characters are thinking, feeling, and doing certain things. So, let's begin. Button Button Part 2. In the morning, as she left the apartment, Norma saw the card halves on the table. Impulsively, she dropped them into her purse. She locked the front door and joined Arthur in the elevator. While she was on her coffee break, she took the card halves from her purse and held the torn edges together. Only Mr. Stewart's name and telephone number was printed on the card. After lunch, she took the card halves from her purse again and scotch-taped the edges together. Why am I doing this? She thought. Okay, just like before, I want to stop after the first chunk of what I read, and I want to ask, who is she and what is she doing? Well, it's Norma, Arthur's wife, and she decided to put the cards in her purse. This is the action I noticed her doing, so now I'm wondering, why would she do that? Why does she want to keep Mr. Stewart's phone number with her? She must want something. She must be thinking twice about the fight she had with her husband last night. I wonder what she's going to do. Let's keep reading. Just before 5, she dialed the number. Good afternoon, said Mr. Stewart's voice. Norma almost hung up, but restrained herself. She cleared her throat. This is Mrs. Lewis, she said. Yes, Mrs. Lewis. Mr. Stewart sounded pleased. I'm curious. That's natural, Mr. Stewart said. Not that I believe a word of what you told us. Oh, it's quite authentic, Mr. Stewart answered. Well, whatever, Norma swallowed. When you said someone in the world would die, what did you mean? Exactly that, he answered. It could be anyone. All we guarantee is that you don't know them, and of course that you wouldn't have to watch them die. Wow, I have a lot of questions about who this Mr. Stewart is. Why does he have the power to do this? Why does he think this is okay? What's even happening here? Let's keep reading to find out. For $50,000, Norma said. That is correct. She made a scoffing sound. That's crazy. Nonetheless, that is the proposition, Mr. Stewart said. Would you like me to return the button unit? Norma stiffened. Certainly not. She hung up angrily. Okay, so Norma is asking questions. So she's definitely thinking about this. So I want to recap what happened, and remember, I want to think of a friend who has no idea what is happening in the text, and I have to quickly explain to them what's happening. The most important things I want to explain are that Norma took Mr. Stewart's phone number to work, and she's thinking about the button still, and so she calls him. Let's dig a little deeper though. I want to think about why she's doing that. What is she thinking, feeling, and doing, and why is she thinking, feeling, and doing that? Well, I think our answer comes right here in the text when she says she's curious. She's thinking about the button, she's thinking about Mr. Stewart, and she can't seem to help it because she's curious. Well, what does she want? What is her motivation? Is she good or is she bad? I don't think we can answer that big question yet, but I think what we can do is we can think about why she's doing it. So we're going to answer today's question by writing a couple of sentences. We're just going to expand on what we did last class. We're going to write a claim, which is what we think, and we're going to add evidence. The evidence is going to prove what we think. When we answer today's question, we want to use 3 important grammar rules for text evidence. The citation, what page it comes from, opening punctuation, a comma, opening quote, and a capital letter, and then closing punctuation that goes inside the punctuation and end quote. These rules seem confusing in a list, but it'll make more sense when we get started. So let's answer the first question. Why does Norma call Mr. Stewart? Norma calls Mr. Stewart because, I'm going to say she calls him because she can't stop thinking about his proposal. She can't stop thinking about that, and I know that because when I go back and I look at the text, It says, in the morning she saw the cards and she impulsively put them in her purse. I also know she's feeling that way because it says she's curious. So I'm going to pull this piece of text evidence here to support my answer. She calls Mr. Stewart because she's curious, so when I type that out, it's going to look like this. On page 1, Norma says, don't forget your quotation, I'm curious. Now we need our end punctuation that goes inside the quote and our end quote. So, Norma calls Mr. Stewart because she can't stop thinking about his proposal. On page 1, Norma says, I'm curious. Okay, we did it. We have a claim and we have evidence to support that claim. Now keep reading the rest of the story, and we're going to keep asking questions about why the characters are thinking, feeling, and doing the things they're doing in class together.